We are lifting the lid on this pasta boiling video. This is part 3 in our series. We've got boiling water here. So if you saw the previous 2 videos, I showed you how I made my pasta dough. Right, I've got some left over that I've wrapped in saran wrap now. This will go in the fridge for tomorrow and the next day. We rolled out the dough. I made some linguine, as you can see. I basically made about like 3 portions or so, give or take, 3 little bird's nests. So weapon of choice, this is an AllClad 4-quart with the lifting handle. I'll put a link below in the description. You want plenty of water, like twice the amount of water that you have pasta is what you want, because you want your pasta to float around in there and be all mingly. So brought my water up to a boil somewhere between high and medium. So that's high, right? That's medium. So somewhere between high and medium is how I brought my water up to a boil. Now I want to add the salt. So remember, we made fresh pasta. There's already salt in the pasta. You don't need to flavor the pasta with any more salt. The reason why I want to put salt in the water, though, is it acts like a buffer so that the noodles don't stick together. So I would say I'm going to use somewhere in the vicinity of around that much. How much is this? Give or take, it's around a tablespoon, maybe a little bit less. But now is when you add your salt. Okay, so what I want to do is use a long wooden spoon, hopefully one that has a narrow handle like this, and just use your wooden spoon to kind of stir the salt in there, make sure it's all in there. Give or take, there was about a tablespoon of salt in there. Okay, so now when this kind of comes back to a boil, which it kind of already has, now's when I add my fresh noodles. Very slowly, a little bit at a time. You don't want to dump it all in there all at once or you'll get clumping. But the trick is take one of your bird's nests of noodles, kind of just do one of these so that it moves around a little bit, and you're already avoiding that pre-sticking. So I'm just going to drop them in, right, and give this a little stir just to keep them all separated. See how I'm doing this? Kind of making sure that they stay separated as they went in there. Then now I'm going to add my next little bird's nest, right, which is like a portion size, give or take. I'm going to add that. And each, if you're curious, each portion size is give or take around 100 grams. So now what I want to do is give this, again, a little stir just to make sure that the salt water that's in there has had a chance to coat, right, each noodle, helping to avoid stickage. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and grab my last one. And, you could shake off some of that excess flour if you need to. But basically now what I'm doing, see, it's easy enough to do with just one hand. But basically that goes in. Give this a little bit of a stirge as well. So see how there's twice as much water as there is noodles. And these cook quick. We're talking like maybe 2 minutes, maybe 3 or so. And we'll kind of sit here and watch this whole process. Sometimes it could take a little longer, depending on where you live, your altitude. Like if you're at higher altitudes, I think it takes longer for the water to boil, all that good stuff. But I just want to check my cutting board here, make sure I've got all of these little bits and scraps. Like here's another scrap that'll go in. And then I think I've got one more in the end that'll go in. And I think I'm good. Got a little piece of hardened flour from the last time, but you get the idea. That'll stay out of the pot. So now what I want to do is just take my spoon once again and just give it a little stir. Right? So I would say we've had our noodles in there for about 30 or 40 seconds or so, give or take. And what I'm doing is I'm just trying to stir and make sure that they're in here. Okay, let's talk about mistakes people make. Sometimes people lower the gas at this point. You don't need to. Or they turn the gas higher. You don't need to. What you want to see is you do want to get a boil started again and a whole bunch of frothy bubbles. When you see that, then you can go ahead and lower your heat. Another mistake people make is they put olive oil in the water that they're using to boil the pasta. If you do that, what's going to happen is the olive oil is going to prevent the water from going into the noodles. It's going to take longer to cook. Right? Eventually the water will go into the noodles, but I'm saying if you leave the olive oil out at this point, your noodles will cook faster. See how we're starting to get that frothing, that white frothing action going on? Here's when I want to just give it a little stir. And then now is when you lower your heat. So I'm going to go to medium, a little bit below medium-ish. And see now how this calmed down, right? Continue to watch this, and just every 20 seconds or so, just keep stirring it. Remember, this is fresh pasta, so it's going to cook a lot quicker and a lot faster than dried pasta would. And it's okay if there's a little bubbling foaming action. What you don't want is Mount Vesuvius, right? Me being the Italian that I am, you don't want another Pompeii. You don't want this thing to boil over. You need to be close to your pot. So if the phone rings, just let it go. I'm at the door. I'm at the gate. Let me in. Whatever. Just, that's their problem, not yours. Wait until you finish this, because if you walk away from this, you could have a major kitchen accident. So just for your own safety and for everything else, try to stay close to this. Hopefully someone you know can answer the phone for you, family member, significant other, friend, or whatever the case may be. But you do want to pay attention to this. Okay, so we are almost there. What I'm waiting for is for all the noodles to float to the top. So see how just in the last minute, right, in the last 60 seconds, we had a nice big float, right, of all the noodles. And the way you know your pasta is done is when they've all come up to the top. So I'd say I'm about maybe 3/4 of the way there. There's still some noodles down here that are kind of like sinking into the bottom. Another reason why I'm doing the stirring thing, I'm not just doing this, right? I'm trying to go between them. I'm trying to just make sure that there's good separation. Our noodles are swelling up. But the other reason why I do this too is just to make sure that every noodle gets coated in that salt water to help cook all of the surfaces evenly and all of the noodles evenly. So we're almost there. I'd say we're about 80% of the way there. I just know visually this is almost done, but the ultimate way to test is you're looking to eventually pull out one single strand and taste it with your teeth and see if it tastes good to you. If it not only tastes good, right, but also if it's done, the doneness. Everybody says al dente, al dente. You want to cook it to about maybe 90% of its doneness. Then using a little bit of that leftover pasta water and a non-stick fry pan of some kind. You could also use like the All-Clad 10-inch skillet is great. You can use whatever you want to. You want to use a little bit of the reserved pasta water, put your noodles into your pan, and then heat with whatever sauce so that it finishes cooking, and whatever sauce you use blends into the actual noodle itself. So you get a more, the noodles will cling on better to whatever sauce you use. I'm not going to go through that process now because I've already made meatball sauce that you saw in a previous video. Go back into the playlist. And then I've also made, what did we make? We made pasta carbonara that you saw me do. So you can go back in there and check out those. But for now, anyways, I just want to get through this process, show you all what you're basically looking for. So this would be a good time to go ahead and give it a taste. I'd say we're about 3 to 4 minutes of cook time total. So I just want to make sure my pasta is cooked through, and then I will make this video shorter and sweeter. So let me pull out a noodle. So here's where your tongs come in handy. So these are the OXO Good Grips. This is the, I believe, 9-10-inch size. I will put a link down below in the description as mentioned. So I just want to grab a little, or maybe a longer one. Go ahead and just give this a quick taste. And I think we're almost there. Almost there. Maybe another give or take like minute or so. I feel like the inside, because I made a thicker noodle, see how thick that linguine was? Because I made a thicker noodle, the inside's just taking a little bit extra to cook in. Also, what I'm doing here is I'm helping to loosen any excess starch, right? The flour that might have been on the exterior of the noodle. You want a little bit of starch because it helps to tighten up your sauce, right? It helps to make your sauce more saucy, but I definitely don't want to bite into a huge bunch of, you know, floury dough on the outside or flour on the outside. What I want to do is I want to bite into the noodle itself, which is all that incorporated goodness. Like I said, if you want to know how we got to this point, go ahead and go down in the description section down there below. Check out the playlists, right? Check out the gear that we use, my old school pasta maker, right, that I've had for, let's just say, quite a while. But we hand rolled out the dough, we hand rolled out the linguine. So I would say this is about done. Almost. I can just tell by color and by look and by feel. Also, when you're feeling around, you know, muscle memory, right? As you keep doing this, you'll kind of learn like what's appropriate. Oh, another good thing. Let's say you wanted to go the other route, make ramen, right? You just made ramen noodles, basically. It's all the same. To me, it's all the same, right? But if you wanted to go ahead and put this in a soup, you maybe made minestrone, You want to put it into some kind of like nice broth that you made or whatever. Sky's the limit. You can do whatever you want. So at this point, we're done. What I'm going to do is, remember, we were on medium. I'm going to shut off the gas. What I'm going to do is bring this over to my sink. And before I bring it over to the sink, I want to turn my water on. This will help save your pipes. So have your colander ready to go. Turn. See how I've got my nozzle away from the colander? Because I'm not shooting water into the colander. I want to just shoot water down the sink so that it helps to absorb or balance out the temperature between the hot pasta water and the cold pipes. So this will help to save your pipes. So go ahead and turn your water on, like medium-ish, and then go ahead and bring your noodles over. Oi! And then I'm going to go ahead and pour, right? There we go. Big steamy mess. This goes back on the stove. Just keep it off the burner. I'm going to shut my water off. But basically what I did there was the water coming out of the thing or whatever, right, is helping to balance the temperature between the hot, steamy water that just came out of the pot. So now my noodles are here. I'm going to shake them out, mix them up, and that's basically going to be my pasta for the day. Anyways, if you like what you're seeing, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button down there below, wherever that is. Go ahead and check out the description section for links to the colander. I'm going to try to find a good pasta machine to put down there. My chef's knife, the tongs, the spoon, the whole thing will be down there in the description. Check out that kitchen section. I'm the Old Coot, and I will catch you all on the next exciting video.